Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to State of Tennessee versus Christopher Basket and Culver Richard Williams. There was some email exchange everybody was a part of last night concerning scheduling today. Mr. Jones, I know, challenged Mr. Walker's testimony as an expert, so we'll deal with that later this morning, probably when we're getting up for lunch. And so, Jill, you ready to resume your case?
Yes, sir.
Ready, Mr. Jones?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ready, Ms. Lee?
Just a couple of housekeeping, Judge. We've heard from Officer Stevens that we stopped a part of his cruise video. We're going to prepare a late file exhibit. It includes where we stopped it and beyond with no audio. If you recall, that's what we talked about.
All right, and you can copy that for the party.
I just made the one copy.
What is the number?
It is 464.
Did we enter that?
I don't think we did.
You want to do that in front of the jury? Oh, you're going to do the pictures too in front of the jury?
Yeah. Oh, well, we do. We don't have to in front of the jury. I just want to
Yeah,
make sure.
we did it in 464. You said you'd like to file it. So that is 464.
We'll go ahead and enter the picture. It does not have to be in front of the jury.
All right, so I don't remember what the picture was. But we gave it
463.
What was it?
463.
463. Photo of life and being of Zaevion Dobson is 463. All right, you ready, Ms. Rogers? All right, awesome. Go ahead, bring it. Okay, we may be seated to state by the Honor. Way to call, Mr. Jones.
So wait, Your Honor.
Ms. Rogers. Welcome back, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for being with us once again today. I'm going to ask you that question that I've been asking you each day. Were any of you exposed to any information about this case, or did anybody talk to you about this case? All right, I see y'all had taken no. Very well. Then we're ready to resume the state's case. General, if you please call the next witness.
Call Officer Andrew Markham.
If you please come forward. You go there. If you please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give in the case now on trial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Something you got? I do. Very good.
Give us your name, sir.
Officer Andrew Markham.
Can you spell your last name, please?
M-A-R-K-H-A-M.
Where are you employed?
Knoxville Police Department.
What do you do with the Knoxville Police Department?
Currently I'm in teleservice being injured, but I'm a patrolman.
And what area of town do you patrol?
Northwest Knoxville.
Does that include the Lonsdale area?
Yes.
How long have you been with the Knoxville Police Department?
8 years.
Now, if I can direct your attention back to January 17, 2016, do you recall working that day?
I do.
Do you recall which shift you were working?
Not sure.
And so what hours would that be?
10 p.m. to 8 a.m.
And during the course of your patrol, did you have occasion to encounter Mr. Williams?
I did.
And for the record, do you see Mr. Williams in court today?
I do.
If you could, point to him and tell us what he has on. What is he wearing?
Blue shirt and blue black tie.
Record could reflect the Williams.
Very well.
Please tell us about your encounter with Mr. Williams.
At about 12:15 that morning, I stopped at White Nissan Maxima on Texas Avenue in Minnesota for going 53 miles an hour, 30 mile an hour zone. I approached the vehicle and noticed a female driver, 3 female passengers in the rear seat, and Mr. Williams in the front passenger seat. I approached the vehicle, smelled an odor of marijuana coming from the vehicle. I had officers come to assist me. Took the occupants out of the vehicle, and Officer Skellinger, who's now sergeant, was a canine man, and he ran a dog around the vehicle, and he searched the vehicle. Found a loaded .40 caliber Smith & Wesson handgun underneath the seat Mr. Williams was at.
Now, and are you the one who confiscated it?
I am.
And explain to us the process you go through when you confiscate a firearm.
I checked the records to see if it's listed as stolen anywhere, and I put it into an evidence box, take it out and fill out a property log into property, and put it in a safe box there.
If I can approach you so you can get it 576. recognize Exhibit 576?
I do.
And what do you recognize Exhibit 576 to be?
It is a handgun box that we use in the Knoxville Police Department. Inside is a black the black 40 caliber Smith & Wesson handgun with a magazine. I was going to follow on that.
That's in the chamber. Yes. That weapon safe.
You could just hold that up for the jury. And that's the gun that was confiscated. And you got a magazine there as well.
There's a magazine.
And any ammunition in the gun?
Not in the gun, not in the magazine, ma'am. We made it safe. There's ammunition in here.
And I apologize, at the time that you confiscated the gun, was it loaded?
It was loaded in the magazine.
How many bullets in there?
14 rounds.
We'd like to move that in. It's 576.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
The exhibit 576 is the collection exhibit.
Sir, if you could, on exhibit 585, keep your seat there. You recognize exhibit 585?
Yes.
What do you recognize exhibit 585 to be?
Is a map of Lonsdale homes.
Sir, if you could, using this black marker on exhibit 585, can you mark with the initials RW where you first observed the vehicle Mr. Williams was in?
When I first observed it, it was traveling on Texas Avenue. I first observed it right around here. It was traveling this way toward the neurology station area right here.
And with that same black marker, can you draw a line with the path that it took?
Right along Texas Avenue. And it turned into here on the side.
And if you could, with an X, show where the stop occurred.
Right here.
And so what street did the stop occur on?
Minnesota, Texas.
And how close is that to 2704 Baggage Plaza?
A couple blocks. About 5 blocks. And Lonsdale, there's one baggage and that sort of stuff.
Now, Mr. Williams, he was taken into custody.
He was.
Was there anyone else taken into custody?
There was a female that was listed as a runaway juvenile in Mexico.
And so what, did you take her to her dad?
I did.
And the other ladies in the vehicle, what did you allow them to do?
And they were
Now, you have your in-car video, did it record your encounter with Mr. Williams?
yes.
And we would like to move his video in as evidence without audio. We'd just like to play just a small portion.
I have no objection.
What number do we have?
467.
467. Are we bringing in the entire video with the audio? And you just
Just the
clip you're
video.
playing, so it's part of that.
I apologize, Your Honor. It's the entire video of the stop, of the encounter, which is about 30 minutes. We're not seeking to play the full 30 minutes.
But you want the whole thing coming down?
Please. Oh, okay. It's about 5 minutes. So it is not the entire stop. It's just,
Okay, so this is 5 minutes.
just about 5 minutes.
All right, very good. You may approach.
I'm sorry, I think it's on the defense's statement.
Sorry.
If you could, sir, what are we looking at up on the screen right now?
This is video of that traffic stop, Mr. Brown. And the screen is the white Nissan Maxima pulled over in Ware, Minnesota.
And since we don't have audio, can you just narrate what's going on? What time?
It is 12:15. I just stopped the vehicle, calling out my traffic stop at this point. As they were turning out, stopping and was calling it out. We'll make my approach here in just a second. Making my approach to the driver's side of the vehicle and talking with the driver and occupants of the vehicle. Explaining to them why I pulled them over. Give the driver's license at this point. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm talking to them, trying to make conversation with everybody.
Have you detected the odor of marijuana by now?
Yes. I asked everybody at this point for they had their IDs and everything.
Why is that?
Because I detected the odor of marijuana, which please believe that somebody in that vehicle is possessing marijuana or is using marijuana. I get my notepad out to start taking down the names.
And were you able to get all of their names?
Yes. At this point, my backup officer arrived.
And who was that?
It's Officer Tim Walker.
What are you still doing? Are you still just getting
I'm
names?
still jotting down names. Just at this point, I start going back to my car. I'm going to identify who's in the vehicle, run through a computer system, and kind of pull pictures of them and run them on records, see if there's any more. And that takes a little bit. Officer Walker stays with the vehicle on the passenger side, keep my eyes on the vehicle.
In your report, do you have the names of the ladies?
I do.
What were the ladies' names?
I have a copy of the report if I can use it. Zaevion Dobson.
And for the court reporter, can you spell her first name?
It's Zyona. Last name is Nelson. Javae Smith, Jabae, Smith Constable, Carly Taylor, Karli, last name is Taylor Constable, and Heaven, last name is Webster, Anderson, Webster, Anderson.
In your report, did you note where these ladies were seated?
Did not. Miss Smith was the driver, and the other three were in the back seat.
Javae Smith was the
Javae
driver?
Smith was the driver, yes.
Well, I guess we can see in the video where the
Yeah.
juvenile is seated. Now, since you detected an odor of marijuana, do you call for anybody else?
I'm not sure if we called for the K9 or Sergeant Skillinger just showed up. At that point in time, we were pretty close squad, and we would back each other up, and he would come usually. So I can't recall with that.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I thought, if you want to skip it. Apologies, I thought the clip was popping. Back up to when he approaches the vehicle. All right, so what's going on?
Right before that, I approached the vehicle and started taking occupants of the vehicle out in preparation for a vehicle search. And we got the driver out, Miss Smith, and we set them down on the curb next to my vehicle. And Officer Walker got Mr. Williams out of the vehicle.
Why do you take people out one at a time?
For officer safety, just in case one of us gets into a fight with the occupant, they try to flee or run. We have been wrong in containing that and not getting injured. There, Officer Skellman through this, Sergeant Skellman around is pulling up on the left.
What is Officer Walker doing with Mr. Williams now?
Pat Mr. Williams down. Make sure he doesn't have any weapons.
What are you doing?
I'm talking to the driver. I don't know what I'm saying. Mr. Walker tells Mr. Williams to sit down on the curb next to the driver. When you get the other passengers out of the vehicle.
Is that third officer there?
That is Officer Skellman, Sergeant Skellman.
Where was this lady seated?
In the rear seat behind the driver.
Where was that lady seated?
In the rear behind the passenger. She was seated in the rear in the center.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is going to be Exhibit 467. All right, so once you get all of them out, why do you have to get them all out before you run a dog around the vehicle?
So the dog can possibly search the vehicle, make sure we're not. I'm not a canine handler, so I'm not a professional one.
Sergeant Skellins would be able to explain.
He would be able to explain that.
467. Pass, please.
Ms. Lee, you may cross the table.
I have no questions, Your Honor.
Rose.
Morning.
How are you, sir?
Good, thanks. This was in January, right?
Yes.
Like middle of January.
Yes, I don't remember the actual dates on that.
I think the tape said January 17th. And there were 5 people in that car, correct?
Yes.
And that car was not registered to Mr. Williams,
No,
and he was not the driver.
he was not a driver.
And that the gun that was discovered in the car was underneath the seat, correct?
Yes.
And you have no idea how long that gun had been under that
No.
seat, right? Or who put it there?
No, yeah.
Okay. That's all I have.
The traffic stop that you effectuated on this Nissan Maxima occurred in the wee hours of basically January 17th, 2016, correct?
Yes.
And as you understand it, that would have been 1 month, almost to the day, actually to the day, from December 17th, 2015, right?
Yes.
Okay. And when you went over the names of the parties involved, did you have an opportunity, do you have your report there?
Yes.
Who's that vehicle registered to?
It is registered to Ms. Smith, Ray Smith.
Okay. You don't see a Christopher Bassett anywhere on that report?
No.
Okay. And relative to the young lady, the juvenile that came out of, I believe we saw her in the middle of the back, is that right?
I don't remember which one was the juvenile.
Okay. Would you agree with me that the juvenile was a backseat passenger?
Backseat passenger, yes.
Okay. And you recorded her name there.
Yes.
Would you repeat that name for the jury, please?
Juvenile was Zaevion Dobson.
And based upon your investigation and when you checked on Ziona Nelson, you discovered she was a runaway, right?
Yes.
And I know you mentioned, and I'm not picking at you, that you turned her over to her father.
Yes.
Actually, she was transported by Tim Walker to juvenile, wasn't she?
No, she was transported by me to juvenile. She
Okay.
was, the process has changed just a little bit from what
Okay.
it used to be.
Okay, I'm just, you know what I mean, we're used to it a little bit.
Let him.
You can finish transfer.
It's changed from what it used to be.
Yes, sir.
We used to take juvenile, runaway juveniles to juvenile.
Yes, sir.
Parents would pick them up themselves. Juvenile will not take them anymore. So they refused to take her at juvenile, so I had to take her to her parents, had to locate her parents to take her.
Okay, I'm sorry. But she did get transported in.
She did get transported.
Her father did not come to the scene, right? So if she had conversation with you as an officer, then that would have been recorded on the video. And then if she had conversation with Officer Walker, that would be on Officer Walker's video, correct?
Yes.
Because each of you came in a separate vehicle, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Nothing further. Thank you, sir.
Direct.
There you go.
Thank y'all. Should we make that now? Next piece.
Thank you, Skeletor.
Give me a second.
You have been very right. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give in the case now on trial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
That's it, sir.
Tell us your name, please, and spell at least your last name.
Sergeant Nathaniel Skellender. Last name is Skellender.
And by whom are you employed?
Knoxville Police Department.
How long have you been so employed?
About 8 years.
And your current rank is? what?
Sergeant.
Back in January 2016, what were your duties with Knoxville Police Department?
I was part of the K-9 unit.
And tell the jury what a K-9 unit is.
We're assigned to a patrol squad, and we're there to assist in any way needed, mainly sniffs on vehicles or search for suspects that are hiding in various areas, buildings, woods, things like that.
A little after midnight on January 17, 2016, did you provide some assistance to Officer Markham on a traffic stop?
Yes, I did.
And what did you do at that stop?
I was called there to perform a canine sniff on a vehicle that he had stopped for violation.
Based on an odor of marijuana?
Yes.
Is that why he summoned you?
He had smelled the odor of marijuana, so he called me to see if my dog would confirm that smell.
And what did you do then when you got there?
First, I helped him get everybody out of the vehicle. Get everybody out of the vehicle before you sniff the vehicle, or the dog sniffs the vehicle. Then I retrieved my canine. Had the canine run around the vehicle, sniff the vehicle, and my dog positively alerted to the odor of narcotics.
And once that happens, what then did you do?
Search the vehicle.
You enter the vehicle yourself and look for things?
Yes.
And is that what you did?
Yes, sir.
And what, did you search all areas of the interior of the vehicle?
Yes.
And did you find anything that was of concern to you?
Yes, found marijuana residue all over the floorboards and in the center cup holder. And then under the front passenger seat, found a loaded pistol.
If I approach with exhibit 576, if you can inside that box, see if you recognize it.
Yeah, 40 caliber Smith & Wesson.
And was it loaded?
Yes, it was.
How was it loaded?
I had 14 rounds of ammunition in it.
In the magazine, or was it one in the chamber that you were talking?
I don't remember whether or not there was one in the chamber. It was 14 rounds in.
40 caliber bullets, if you examined it that closely at the time. And what did you do then after you discovered that? And first of all, what did you discover?
It was under the front passenger seat.
And the occupants already been removed at that point?
Yes, all the occupants were removed.
Did you remove anybody from that front passenger seat?
That was somebody else.
After you discovered that, what did you do with it?
Removed it from the vehicle, and I keep these boxes in my car and put it in this box. This is my handwriting on the box. Put the case number. Officer Markham was going to do all the complications for it since it was his traffic stop. But I wrote all the information down on the outside of it, closed it, sealed it, and gave it to Officer Markham to confiscate it.
You put it in the box, closed it, sealed it, marked the box, and gave it to Officer Markham.
This is all my handwriting right here.
That's it.
Mr. Rogers, you may cross the hand.
Sir. So, do you remember how the gun was situated under the seat?
No, I don't.
Okay. Did you take any pictures of how it was situated under the seat?
I was situated.
Okay. So you don't know if it was closer to the front or the back, or?
It was, right near the front of the seat.
Okay.
Right when I looked under it, it was.
Don't know. Okay. You don't know, do you know if that was Mr. Williams' car or not?
His car?
Yeah.
I don't believe it was his car. Not where he was seated, but I don't believe it was his car.
Right, and you don't know how long that gun had been under that seat, is that correct?
No.
Okay. Or who put it under that seat?
No.
Okay. Do you remember, was Mr. Williams wearing gloves that night?
Wearing gloves?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay. That's all.
I have no questions for Sergeant Skillinger, thank you.
No questions, Your Honor.
Read the rest.
Oh, no.
Thank you, sorry. Who's this? Yes, sir. That's fine.
Yes, we can approach.
Folks, the next witness is a few minutes away, so we're going to take a 10-minute recess now. Please leave your notebooks and chairs. Do not discuss the case among yourselves. I'll see you in about 10 minutes. Hi, welcome back, everyone. We're really ready.
Yes, sir.
Great, Mr. Jones.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Lee, Mr. Rogers. Yes, sir. All right, so you can ask the record. All right, when you may be seated, to take away the call.
Yes, sir.
Defense on the call.
So what, Your Honor?
All right, welcome back, everyone. We're ready to resume. General, please call the next witness.
Call Officer Mason.
If you please come forward, take the witness stand. You please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give in the case now on trial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Have a seat, officer.
Give us your name, sir.
Officer Brian Mason,
Can you spell your last name, please?
M-A-S-O-N,
Where are you employed?
Knoxville Police Department,
How long have you been employed with the Knoxville Police Department?
since 2011.
And, sir, back on December 17, 2015, were you so employed with the Knoxville Police Department?
Yes, ma'am.
What area of town, what do you do with the Knoxville Police Department?
Patrol.
Patrol. What area of town do you patrol?
I did patrol Western Heights at that time, ma'am.
Western Heights, can you describe to us what Western Heights is?
It's an apartment complex on the west side of town, just short of Lonsdale, in between Lonsdale and Kingsville.
So did you have occasion to get dispatched to a shots fired call in Western Heights back on December 17, 2015?
Yes, ma'am.
And again, do you recall specifically what time and date and everything?
No, ma'am.
Did you have occasion to review the CAB report?
Yes, ma'am.
And so after reviewing the CAB report, when you got the shots fired call, what did you do?
The CAD report said I arrived. I think I was there for around 2 minutes or 2.5 minutes, and I didn't find anything.
So what would you have done?
Just patrol the area, look for any suspicious people, look for anybody flagging me down.
So you did not see that?
No.
And so showing you Exhibit 1, just so the jury knows, how were you able to determine on Exhibit 1 that you were the officer that responded to Western Heights?
The car ID number is 21076, which is my car, and 70 for Charlie is my unit number.
I'll use a highlighter. Thank you. You could highlight on Exhibit 1. And what time were you dispatched to Western Heights?
4:30, ma'am.
And so it says dispatch, what does that mean?
That's when dispatch gives a call to me over the radio.
All right, so at 4:30, you get a call from dispatch, and then what happens after you get a call from dispatch?
I started heading to the call, and I arrived at 4:32.
Okay, can you highlight 4:30 and 4:32?
Is that AM?
PM, Your Honor.
And then when you arrive, what do you do when you arrive?
I circled the roads. I did not recall which ones. I didn't see any suspicious activity, and I cleared the call at 4:34.
You want to highlight that? So showing you Exhibit 586, diagram of Western Heights. You recognize Exhibit 586?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you recognize Exhibit 586 to be?
Western Heights, ma'am.
You'd like to move Exhibit 586 in as evidence?
No objection.
If you don't mind, you can step down and explain to us the layout of Western Heights.
Jerome Avenue. This is where Western Heights starts, right here, Jerome, Virginia. Western Heights travels all the way up Virginia Avenue, over to McSpadden, and down to West Scott. All runs down the center, and you got it on both sides of Baldwin Avenue.
A number of apartment complexes? Not a number, I mean, is it a lot or?
Yes,
Not a lot.
it is.
Or
It is a lot, yes.
Thank you. Fast ones.
Gentlemen, cross-examination.
Yes, sir. Officer Mason, how long have you been with the Knoxville Police Department?
2011, sir.
All right. And when was the first time that you heard that you needed to be here today?
Monday, I call, sir.
Monday. You didn't have a subpoena that had been issued weeks and weeks before?
I'm not sure, sir. I've been off for over a month.
Okay. But you were notified then Monday to be here, correct?
Yes, she didn't say which day. She said either Thursday or Friday.
Who is the she?
I'm not sure.
Well, was it somebody with the
It
district
was
attorney general's?
with
An assistant with the district attorney's office with TK called you on Monday, right?
Yes, sir.
The day the trial started? Yes, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm not being smart, you just have to answer yes or no. Okay. And you say that you got dispatched to an incident and you identified exhibit number 1, which is the CAD report about a shooting, right?
The shot's hard, yes, sir.
Okay. And I don't profess you to be a gun expert. We've heard other folks relative to this. What type of weapons do members of the Knoxville Police Department carry? Automatics or revolvers?
Automatic, sir.
Okay. What about if a man carries a revolver? There's a distinction between the two, right?
Yes, sir.
If I were to lay a revolver on the counter in front of you and I was to lay an automatic, you can glean which one's the revolver and which one's the automatic.
Yes, sir.
Somebody used a revolver, there wouldn't be any shell casings, would there?
No, sir.
Not unless they dumped the shell casings. Theoretically, I mean, I know maybe there's some guns with more than 6, but if I...
To the compound question.
We'll back it up. How many rounds in your experience, you've seen a few guns, do revolvers normally have?
Yeah, 5 or 6, sir.
Okay. So someone could fire up to 6 times and never eject a case, right?
Yes, sir.
Nothing further. Thank you, sir.
Ms. Lee, cross down there. No questions? Mr. Rogers, no questions. Peter?
Can I see the case file for this case?
Oh, no.
I asked about it, he's on this one. Part of it.
Hold on, just. You said you've been out about
Yes, I am.
how long?
For a month now.
You can take it apart, Gerald.
I guess I'll just look for the order of adding as a witness. I got it. So if there's an order adding you as a witness dated November 29, 2017, would that mean that you were added as a witness on November 29, 2017?
Your Honor, I didn't ask him about that. That's a court order. He doesn't have a legal opinion. I asked him when he got his subpoena.
Sustained objection.
Thank you.
Okay, so then if the court file shows the date that the subpoena was...
Continued objection,
He's
Your
not
Honor.
gonna, that's an argument of question. So if you want to call in a clerk, you can do that.
Okay. Whatever date on the subpoena that it was issued, would that be the date that it was issued?
Yes, sir.
Anything else, sir?
Oh, I'm sorry, no, sir.
Reader, recross.
But the call was Monday, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
What time of the day?
I do not remember, sir.
Early morning, afternoon?
Afternoon, I believe so.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Ms. Lee, Rogers, Fitzgerald. Thank you. You may sit down.
Lieutenant Malone?
Please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give in the case now on trial will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes, sir. Have a seat, Lieutenant.
Give the jury your name, please, sir.
Lieutenant Brian Malone of the Knoxville Police Department.
And spell your last name, please.
M-A-L-O-N-E.
Employed by the Second Knoxville Police Department.
Yes, sir.
How long have you been so employed?
Almost 23 years.
In your current rank, sir?
Lieutenant.
When did you attain the rank of lieutenant?
2011, I think, November 2011.
Okay. And back in December of 2015, specifically December 18th, in the early morning hours of that day, were you on duty?
Yes, sir.
What were your hours that you worked that day?
I worked straight night shift from 10 o'clock at night till 8 o'clock in the morning.
I'll ask you if you had occasion to respond to a shooting call in Green Hill Department.
Yes, sir.
And do you recall whether you were first on the scene, near first on the scene, or?
There was one officer that got there before I did, and I think I arrived, the second officer and I arrived about the same time, but I'm not 100% sure. So,
Do you recall what you initially did when you arrived, or what your duties were?
yes.
Tell us
I was
about that.
basically the scene commander there, and I assisted the other officers in securing the crime scene, and I actually put up some barrier tape to crowd was a little unruly, to try to keep the crowd under control.
And was your cruiser equipped with audio-video recording equipment at that time?
Yes, sir.
And was it functioning properly?
Yes, sir, it was.
Tell us what you recall about the first moments on scene out there.
Okay. When I first pulled up, kind of, I don't know if you guys saw the diagram of the apartment complex or not. There's a building on the right, and then there's another building a little farther forward, and there was a car that was crashed into the wall of one of the apartment buildings. And when I arrived, there was a male that had been shot behind the driver's seat, and there was a bunch of people running all over the place, screaming and yelling. And I assisted, like I said, put up some of the crime scene tape to try to keep the crowd under control and to gather any witnesses that might have seen what happened.
And did you run across folks that were upset?
Yes, sir.
And I'll ask you if you encountered Mr. Richard Williams at some point early on in your...
I did.
Okay. And your interaction with Mr. Williams captured on your cruiser video?
Yes, it was.
Now we'd like to play, I'm sorry, what number?
466.
460, it should be marked 466, or will be 466. A portion of Lieutenant Malone's cruiser video. About 5 minutes long.
Any objection? 460.
And before I click play, would this show you as you're actually entering the complex?
Yeah, that looks like mine.
And I'm going to pause it. Do you know who you're talking with there?
Not 100% sure at this time.
Okay.
Step back, man, okay? Get out here, back up. I'm on the phone with the police, so they have to... Yeah, we can be arguing. How about talking to us? Did anybody see what happened? Nobody saw anything. I just ran out back up. Just hang tight a second. We're going to talk here in just a second, all right? Hey, dude, come on, hey, come here. And this shit happened. That's like a part of support. It's not. It is support. It's not. Come on. What the hell? Where's my brother at? Oh,
That would be Exhibit 466, Judge.
I have no objection, man.
Now, Lieutenant Malone, did you hear yourself on that video asking someone their name? And who was that?
Mr. Williams.
And when you first asked him, did you hear him say that's not important?
Yeah, he said it meant something else.
Now, why is it important when you're responding to a scene like that to get people's names?
Well, we want to, as you can see, shooting like that is pretty chaotic. And there's always a lot of people running around and doing different things. And there's usually people that are good witnesses that either have seen something or may be involved, that we want to gather their information and collect their information and get hold of those people so they don't leave, because oftentimes when they leave, they're intimidated by other people or they're less reluctant to speak to us. If we can get hold of them right then and there, it's always more beneficial to us.
And since a recorder was running, is it also important to preserve that information for somebody else's use if necessary?
Yes.
And in the process of getting identification, I notice you also asked about a date of birth. Did you ever get a date of birth?
I don't recall. I didn't hear none of that at date birth. But he was kind of crying and making noise, so I don't know if he gets it or not.
And right at the tail end, you recall seeing someone in red pants come up. Was that a different person?
Yes.
Do you recall who that was?
I don't remember getting his identification or having him identified at the scene, but I do believe we took him up to the police department.
Do you remember talking to him out there on the scene?
If I did, it was briefly. I don't remember.
Last witness.
Cross-examination. Rogers.
It's fair to say he was pretty upset, Mr. Williams, when you were talking to him, right? And like you said, that was a pretty chaotic scene, correct? And he did come up and speak with you whenever you were trying to speak with him, correct?
I actually blocked him a couple times. They kept everybody running around.
Right. Is it unusual, or let me rephrase it, it's not unusual for people to not want to give names when we're dealing with shootings or chaotic scenes like that?
You're saying that people are reluctant to give?
Reluctant, right.
Yes, sir.
That's not unusual at all, right? Okay. I think that's all I have to.
Yes, sir. Lieutenant Malone, you know me personally, correct? And of course, dealt with me as an attorney for a number of years, right? And it's fair to say that you've been at KPD for how long now? I see the marks on your arm.
I believe it'll be 23 years in March.
And at this point in time, you've matriculated up through patrol, sergeant, and now you're in the command structure. Is that right?
Yes.
And being in the command structure, it's fair to say that you're familiar with the general orders and standard operating procedures of the Knoxville Police Department, correct?
Fairly familiar, I guess.
Okay. And one of the things that it's important to do, and of course we see you doing that as far as, or perhaps someone at your direction, I can't really tell, but there's crime scenes tape that starts to be, is the appropriate word strung or spread around the area? What do you refer to that as?
Just putting up the tape.
And what is that, the purpose of that? Why do you do that?
We usually do that to preserve the scene keep it as pristine as possible and keep people that don't need to be in there, keep them out. And most people, for the most part, respect that.
Right, and in fact, we see, and I heard a voice, and since it's your video, I'm thinking it's you, is, hey, y'all step over there, and there was a direction given, effectively a command for folks to step out of that crime scene. Is that correct? Okay. As the officer in charge, as we sit here today relative to this Green Hills shooting, are you aware of whether or not there was a crime scene log done on this shooting?
At one point in the video, I believe I tell someone to start a log, but I'm not 100% sure what happened to it. Or
okay, if it's not been produced to us, you don't know where it is?
No, sir.
Okay. And relative to this crime scene log, that would note when folks enter and when folks leave, and to keep track of everybody that's there. Is that right?
That's the purpose, and generally it's difficult because, as you can see in the video, there's a lot of people running and carrying on and what have you, and it's kind of difficult to start immediately because the officers have other things they have to do.
Sure. And the other point relative to this crime scene log is you generally do that on serious type crimes, correct?
Shootings, stabbings, most times.
Okay. At the time that you arrived here, you knew that you had a potential homicide, certainly at least a shooting, correct?
That's right.
And you would expect, as part of the general operating procedures of the Knoxville Police Department, that you would have one of those done and you directed someone to do it, correct? Okay. Now, the other statement, I want to go back through this as far as that are being made. There were some things that were done that were noises. You know what I'm saying? It sort of sounded like gunshots, but maybe it sounded like somebody shoving a dumpster or something of that nature. Okay. Do you recall hearing that noise? There were two of them. It was like a, I don't know, like a bam or a, you know, something.
I object to Mr. Jones testifying.
It's cross-examination. I get to lead him.
You do get a leading, but you're going on so long.
I don't mean to. I'll break them down. Did you hear two separate, distinct, large noises?
Yes.
Did you see where those came from?
I don't recall exactly where they came from.
Were they from within the crime scene area or in close proximity such that they would have been picked up on your microphone?
Yes.
Okay. And then the statement that's made about, I wasn't there, I was upstairs in the crib laying down, we're hearing Mr. Williams, aren't we?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that's, when he's talking about it, is the apartment upstairs from where that car rammed into, correct? Is that right?
I would assume so, yes, sir.
Okay, and the car that we're talking about is the black BMW?
The one that's
Crashed into the car. Okay. Did you see a man in red pants and a white shirt running around the scene?
There was a guy, yeah, I believe, yeah.
And he was one of the ones that was transported down to the Knoxville Police Department. Nothing further. Thank you, sir.
Right.
Oh, that is redirect. No redirect of this witness, but we would like to introduce at this point in time a copy of the supplemental discovery response filed October 20th, 2017 that contains the crime scene.
Yeah, I think we're going to have an objection relevant that needs to go.
Any further redirect or cross mislead? No. All right, folks, that takes us to lunchtime. We're going to have a little early lunch. Got some issues that need to address with the attorneys. So leave your notes in your chairs. Don't discuss the case among yourselves. See you after lunch. Have a good lunch. Perfect. Have a sleep. Thank you, Jim. All right, you want to?
May I just, here's what I want to do. This is the umpteenth time that Mr. Jones gets up here and misrepresents the record in the form of a question that most times witnesses can't respond to. He knows very well that this crime scene log that he says he was not provided was provided to him in a discovery response. So I think it's only fair that we're able to correct the record when he stands up here and says he didn't get something when he knows he did.
If only that were true, Your Honor.
Well,
so that being said, you know what? You personally attacked me. It's my turn. That being said, Your Honor, what was provided is not a handwritten crime scene log. It is a typed up, after the fact, contrary to the standard operating procedure and general orders of KPD. If they want to talk about it with him, they can talk about it with him, but then they say, I want to be able to ask him questions about that.
Did he even know anything about it? I mean, he's not the witness to bring it in.
If I could just, for the record, state what was turned over. So on October 20th, 2017, the state provided the defense with a supplemental discovery response. On page 2, we state it's email from Officer Stevens. Attached to the discovery response is an email from Officer Stevens dated December 18th, 2015 that Officer Stevens apparently had typed up at 6:23 a.m. And he lists at 2:05 Investigator Thurman, Investigator M. Taylor, Officer Stevens, Investigator John Holmes, Sergeant Schaefer. At 2:08 Officer Hamilton, Sergeant Chadwell, Lieutenant Malone. 02:10 Officer Ray.
So, do you want to call Stevens back in and ask him about, did you type this up and send it?
It was the state to correct the record, I guess. I mean, I just want.
I don't think this witness can do that.
No, I agree. I think that what our position is, it's just not correct to say that the state did not provide him with a copy of a crime scene log, because it states Green Hills crime scene log at the top of the email.
It can state whatever it wants to state. We see these handwritten documents. If they're going to bring that up, he's a lieutenant in the command structure, I want to be able to examine him about it, and I want to be able to ask him. It's not a handwritten
He doesn't know anything about it.
But he knows that he's in the command structure. He can testify as what he normally does.
Call during your crew, somebody from KPD, Lieutenant Malone, if you want to, and explain that that's not it. But if Mr. Stevens, Officer Stevens, created a document that is purported to be the crime scene log, they can call him back and put that into there. And then if you want to get in that was provided to the defense, you can put the clerk on.
And that's why they didn't ask Officer Stevens about the crime scene log, because they knew there was one.
Well, y'all can call him back and ask him if you want to.
Respectfully, I want to respond to that. The reason we ask, because it's a created document. It's not done contemporaneously in the way they're supposed to do it.
Well, now listen, you're asking everybody else about, except the one person you had information that had something about the crime scene log. So I've ruled what I'm going to do. So thank you. Have a good night. All right. Next thing we need to do, folks, is have a conversation about Mr. Walker. The defense has filed a motion challenging his testimony, I believe, Mr. Jones, that your primary argument is that he doesn't qualify as an expert in this area sufficient to allow him to testify as an expert, and also that you question the reliability of the basis of this case. Is that correct?
Yeah, basically all the McDaniel CSX factors. I mean, as far as with regards to that, I mean,
The reliability,
well, the reliability and the methodology he used. He's going to testify about, I would presume, about the rap video, which is beyond any purview he may have as a gang expert.
so you're challenging his qualifications?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so there's three different things you got to show for an expert. One is the expert qualified, which sounds like what you're challenging, and two is what their opinion regarding is it substantially assists a prior fact. The third is the underlying facts or data trustworthy. And so I think what you're saying is that he doesn't have the expertise to render any opinion regarding this video. Is that right?
And in addition, the reliability, basically, which comes part and parcel of that. I mean, it's beyond.
That's part I don't understand. What are you saying?
In order for him to testify relative to his reliability, you have to go through, and it talks about it as far as methodology, everything of that nature. I mean,
you understand McDaniel
I do.
dealing with scientific evidence, and that doesn't really lend itself to this type of testimony. So McDaniel doesn't apply to all.
I understand what you're saying, but he doesn't get to just pick and choose relative to it. There has to be some scientific basis, some recognition in learned publications and things of that nature. I think it'll be pretty self-evident. I just don't want him guessing on this video.
Yeah, and here's the deal, is a lot of what you're arguing are things that are appropriate for cross-examination, where the jurors are the ones that have to resolve these disputes about facts. They're the ones that are the triers of facts. And so I think a lot of what you're challenging really has to do not with the admissibility of the evidence, but the credibility of the evidence.
Well, relative to anything beyond quote-unquote gang expert, I don't think he's technically really qualified to do that. But when he's going to testify about this rap video, yes, I don't think he's qualified. I think by just a few questions, I think we can establish his lack of qualifications.
Mr. Walker, can I take you with the answer? Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, help God, truth, so that's it, sir. All right, so I'm going to let that foundation first.
Okay, and then I get to board out on his qualifications. Yeah, that's fine.
Give us your name, sir.
Thomas Walker,
And, sir, where are you employed?
Knox County Sheriff's Office.
How long have you been with the Knox County Sheriff's Office?
I've been a police officer for 24 years.
Well, is that only with the Knox County Sheriff's Office?
No, the Knoxville Police Department and Knox County Sheriff's Office.
How long have you been with the Knoxville Sheriff's Office?
Going on 16 years.
And prior to the Knox County Sheriff's Office, where were you employed?
Knoxville Police Department.
How long were you with the Knoxville Police Department?
8 years and 8 months.
And prior to the Knoxville Police Department?
I was with the Oak Ridge Security Forces under SWAT team.
Any other law enforcement experience?
No, I was in the Marine Corps before that.
And how long were you in the Marine Corps?
4 years.
Now, sir, with the Knox County Sheriff's Office, are you a part of the gang unit?
Gang intelligence unit.
What is the gang intelligence unit?
Knox County Sheriff's Office Gang Intelligence Unit is a unit that identifies and tracks different gangs and gang members in Knox County.
And how long have you been a part of that unit?
The last 12 years with Knox County Sheriff's Office. I was also on the gang unit at the city.
So 12 years with the Knox County Sheriff's Office. With the city, how long were you with the Knoxville Police Department's gang unit?
5 years.
Anything prior to that?
No.
So how long have you been associated with a gang unit, either with any type of law enforcement?
17 years.
17 years. So explain to us, do you have any type of training or experience that allows you to remain in this unit or to be a part of this unit?
I'm a member of the Tennessee Gang Investigators Association. I've been a member of that association since 1999.
Can I stop you there?
Yes.
What is the Tennessee Gang Association?
Gang Investigators
Gang
Association.
Investigators Association. What is that?
It's a state-run organization that provides training to all law enforcement and corrections officers across the state of Tennessee on gang identification, gang investigations.
And you've been a member of that for how long?
Since 1999.
Okay, I apologize. You can continue on.
In 2006, I was elected to be the state training coordinator for the Tennessee Gang Investigators Association. In that capacity, I organized all the training and our gang conference every year for the Tennessee Gang Investigators. I regulated the criteria for the gang classes that were submitted to the state of Tennessee to the what we call POST, which is the Police Officer Standard and Training Commission. That commission authorizes these classes to be taught as ongoing training hours for every police officer and corrections officer in the state of Tennessee. I did that until 2011, and in 2011 I was elected Vice President of the Tennessee Gang Investigator Association. I still hold that title today.
Now, in addition to this training, have you published any articles?
I published an article in the National Honor Society magazine called Street Gangs and Subculture in the United States. I've also published 4 articles in the Tennessee Gang Investigators quarterly magazine talking about gang testimony, gang investigations, building gang files, stuff like that that have been published in our quarterly magazine. I've also received 755 hours of training where I've actually gone and sat in a class and learned from other gang investigators from across the United States, federal agencies and everybody else have taught, and I've gone and attended those classes to keep current on the upcoming gang trends that have come across the United States. I've been certified as a training expert for the state of Tennessee, and because of that I've registered since 2006 when I started keeping track of how many classes I've taught. I've taught 494 classes for a total of 23,500 students that have attended my classes, and I've logged 3,027 hours as a gang instructor for the state of Tennessee. Besides that, I've posted 12 different classes that I've developed myself to the state of Tennessee through POST that are certified to be able to talk to other police officers and corrections officers for extra training hours. And then I also have been a state certified instructor for Tennessee Homeland Security. I've taught several colleges as a guest instructor, to include UT, South College, Pellissippi, Rome State, and several other colleges around the area.
Now, what is POST?
Police Officer Standard and Training Commission. That is the organization that authorizes the training for police officers. We have to do 40 hours every year of post-certified training. Post, you send your classes, your outline and everything to what class you're teaching to them. They have to certify it for the number of hours that you're saying that you're going to be able to teach, so 8 hours versus all the way to 40-hour classes. If they approve your class, then it is approved through the state of Tennessee to be taught to police officers for our ongoing required training every year.
Have you testified as a gang expert in the past?
If I'm certified today, this will be the 29th trial in Knox County that I've been certified as an expert. I've done 3 times in federal court, once in Anderson County and once in Athens.
Now, in addition to your expertise, do you also have specialized knowledge in gang language?
Gang terminology is a main focus. What we do videos, text messages, emails, anything that would be a communication level with gang members to other gang members.
Based upon your training, your expertise, your specialized knowledge, are you aware of the Bloods gang?
Yes.
Are you aware of the Crips gang?
Yes.
Are you aware of subsets of those 2 groups?
There are hundreds.
Are you aware of the language, words used by, some of the words used by Bloods?
Yes.
Some of the words used by Crips?
Yes.
Some of the style in which the Bloods write?
Yes.
And the style in which the Crips write?
Correct. Yes.
Would you be able to, if given the opportunity, would you be able to explain terminology and gang history, Blood gang history and Crip gang history to the jury?
Yes.
Hey, General, Mr. Jones, you may want here.
You talked about your academic background. It's fair to say you don't have any academic education in the area of literature, do you?
I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. So
I'm sorry, literature was the question I asked you, sir. You have no degree in literature?
No.
You have no degree in linguistics.
No.
You have no degree in sociology.
No.
No degree in music. And no degree in cultural studies.
No.
And in fact, everything that you have done post-Marine Corps has been law enforcement oriented, correct?
Correct.
And in fact, when you prepare documentation, you prepare studies, it's done with the anticipation of testifying, isn't it?
It's to classify people as gang members with the result of
Right. It's done in anticipation of litigation. That's what you do.
Correct.
Correct? And so you've not generated any peer-adopted articles that aren't done in anticipation of litigation or in summary of litigation work that you've done, have you?
The one paper I posted, the National Honor Society, was just an outlook at gang culture.
Okay.
It's not made for court testimony.
Right, but it's based upon the information that you've got as a gang investigator, correct?
Yes.
Okay, but what I'm talking about is studies that you have personally conducted outside of your job in law enforcement that are academically based concerning the interpretation of rap music.
Not outside law enforcement, no.
Okay? And you have no specialized training in African American culture.
We're going to object. We're not offering him as an expert in rap music, African American culture. We're offering him as an expert in gang investigation.
He's going to testify about a rap video, and if he doesn't understand African American culture or a rap video, then he stops at whatever he wants to opine about gang. And I will, if that's what the general wants to limit him, I don't want him sitting there then picking and choosing out of this rap video. He said he doesn't have the experience. The requirements are scientifically accepted methodology and familiarization. You can talk about what you wrote in studies that you've done all day long, but if they are done in preparation for litigation and they are not done in an academic setting, then they are not considered peer review articles. That's what I'm establishing with regards to that. I'm hitting the factors. I mean, and that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I agree with the state that not offering as an expert in rap music or African American studies, but I'll allow you to ask your questions.
Thank you. I appreciate it. So, that being said, you know nothing about the rap industry, do you?
Not in depth, no.
Okay. And relative to music in general, you know what you like and what you don't like, correct?
Sure.
And you're not a fan of rap music as an individual, personally. You don't get in your car and listen to it, do you?
No.
Okay. And relative to the approach that you take, you said 29 times that you've testified. Have you familiarized yourself with the articles from the American Psychological Association concerning the threatening nature of rap music?
No.
Have you ever heard of that publication?
No, I haven't.
All right. Have you ever heard of Duke University?
Yes.
All right. Have you ever familiarized yourself with the publication Rap Lyrics, What Can Music Theory Tell Us?
No.
Have you ever looked up the Washington University Journal of Law and Policy, From Slavery to Hip Hop, Punishing Black Speech, and What's Unconstitutional About Prosecuting Young Black Men Through Art?
No.
Do you know the difference between hip hop and rap?
Hip hop is culture, or rap is more individualized to the person singing.
Okay. Do you have any peer-reviewed studies nationally that endorse your approach to reviewing rap music?
No.
Objection, Your Honor. It's not,
You said no?
it's not reviewing rap music.
I understand.
And relative to any review that you've done of this video, you've previously testified you don't know whose voices are on the video, correct?
Objection, Your Honor. Part of our testimony from Mr. North, he identified who the voices were.
No.
The issue is whether or not...
I asked him, I get to cross-examine him. They can rehab him if they want to.
Listen, One of the great things about being a judge is that when you start talking, everybody else has to be quiet.
Yes, sir.
If that doesn't work, then we got a problem.
Yes, sir, I apologize, sir.
I'm going to sustain that objection. So ask a different question.
Relative to the video, how many videos have you reviewed of the LIE group?
Probably about six different ones over time I've been doing gang stuff.
Okay, when I say LIE, I'm talking about Loyalty is Everything.
Yes.
You reviewed 6 videos prior to today?
But 2 concerning this.
Okay.
They've done other videos.
Right.
Yes.
So, of the other videos, these are the 2 that you chose?
I didn't choose.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustain.
Now, relative to your review of Loyalty is Everything,
I thought we were doing disqualification.
we
Yeah.
are, but it goes to whether or not he applied scientific methodology concerning it, which would include
ahead.
referencing
Just ask.
social media.
Ask the question. I'm letting you ask.
Okay. Relative to Loyalty is Everything, you've determined that they have a website and they distribute this music, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you can actually purchase downloads of the music, can't you?
Yes.
And that's similar to other music sources that can be purchased through download.
I don't know where we're going now, Mr. Jackson. This seems like it gets pretty far afield of his expertise.
What I'm getting at, it's not a scientifically applied methodology. He's just picking these out.
He's not talking about the rap. He's talking about the gang references in the rap. I mean, I think that's maybe what we're missing.
Okay.
You know, if you don't talk to him about his opinion, as I understand it, is going to be as certain words are said, certain phrases are said, and certain signs are made, certain colors being wear. Those are indicative of gang references. I think that's what he's going to say. And so that's the question is not whether or not he thinks it's a good rap or what that means, but whether or not his training and experience allows him to draw those conclusions and render that opinion.
In your training and experience, have you ever heard the term studio gangster?
Studio gangster is somebody that pretends to be a gang member who sells rap videos.
That being said, in reviewing the videos in question, these young men's purpose, their selling downloads was to sell rap videos, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think we've asked all the questions we can here. I mean, that is clearly a question that has to do with why they said what they said. And that goes to the credibility and the weight to be given to it, not whether or not it's a list.
You don't have,
Obviously, you got anything else?
well, I wasn't done. If you're telling me I'm done, I'm not being, I'm listening.
No, I just zero in on that issue, okay?
Okay. In all of the times that you have written scholarly articles, you've never written an article on rap videos, have you?
No.
Ms. Lee, you want to bother your question? All right, the court finds that Mr. Walker is qualified as an expert in the area of gang investigations because of his experience and his training. Also think that would substantially assist the trier of fact in understanding the issue of what is being said in these videos and potential motive and intent in these shootings, or the shooting that we're dealing with here. And I also think that the underlying factor data which he is relying on are trustworthy. This is not the type of situation that lends itself well to those McDaniel, whether scientific evidence has been tested and the methodology by which it's been tested, whether the evidence has been subjected to peer review or publication, whether the potential rate of error is known. I mean, there's no way you can have a potential rate of error in this, whether formally required by trial, the evidence is generally accepted in the scientific community. The bottom line is it trustworthy? And I think that it needs that. I'm satisfied anyway that his opinions are based on the relevant processes and data for collecting this information. So I'm going to allow him to testify and deny your motion.
Your Honor, may I make one other inquiry? Can we have a limiting instruction relative to his knowledge of rap music and that he is not tendered as a rap music expert, nor can he give an opinion as to what these young men meant. He can say what certain words are.
You can do that on cross. I mean, that's not a legal issue, that's a factual issue, so I can't comment on that. They're going to tender him as an expert in gangs, and you can ask him, say, you're not an expert in rap, right? So we got it. All right, let's take a lunch break. Let's come back at 10 till 1. Court ends in recess.